Welcome to The Good Ride. I'm James Beastie, and thanks for being here as I talk about the Megadeth. I rode this primarily with Union Atlas Ride Fuse in a decent amount of conditions, some good groomers, some semi-clean but not perfect groomers, and some powder. This 59 fit me better than the 59 BSOD. This lighter, poppier ride responded just a touch better. The Megadeth is directional and it has 1 mil of taper, but it's still really not a tapered directional board and still has a pretty between the feet kind of feel. It doesn't feel as directional as it looks. You have camber between the feet. You have a little bit of early rise before the tail, going to flat before that camber between the feet. Then, after the inserts, you have a good bit of early rise before the nose. So this Megadeth tracks really well, 1 foot's really well, flat base is really well, but it's definitely a little more on the technical, catchy side. You have a very dynamic, very poppy flex. It's got just so much energy out of it. I'm really surprised at how much it pops on snow. It's very hard to duplicate this here in the studio under pretty lights. So you can see the overall flex. It's not giving much between the feet, but it's giving a lot at the end of the tail and the end of the nose. It has that similar dynamic poppy feel as the Megamerc, but more pop because of that flat section after the inserts near the tail. It sure does help with ollie power. I could butter this okay. It wasn't amazing. And then you factor in this flex personality and how it works in all conditions. The Black Snowboarder Death is considerably damper. Still, for an ultralight board, not terrible though. Very doable. It's just gonna buck and bounce you around and soft, uneven snow a lot. This is such a fast, easy gliding base. It's up there with the fastest of fast. It just keeps its speed so well. It's got a little bit of structure going on, but sometimes the structure with Capita, especially when the boards are new, it can be a little grabby in some conditions, but this time I didn't feel that. When it comes to dampness at speed, the regular Black Snowboarder Death is going to be better than the Megadeth for that. Even though it has a slower base, it's just going to be more damp. It's just not going to give you more feedback as you really start to mock down the hill. Now, when it comes to edge hold, you got that death grip, that extension in the side cut in the center of the board. The one thing I'd say is the edges aren't super quiet. So when you're engaging in hard, uneven snow, sometimes it can buck the edge out, but when it's clean and hard, this grips pretty well. Now, when it comes to turn initiation, for some reason, maybe it's just the pop and the energy that you get from the Megadeth, felt just a touch quicker than the Black Snowboarder Death from my memory from last year, but it's still really close. It's medium quick. When I get it over on side cut and really start to engage a turn, it feels pretty balanced, maybe a touch more on the straight liney side. It likes to point it just a little bit more, but even if you want to circle carve or across the groomer carve, it's not gonna fight you that hard. Sometimes I find that flat in the camber profile can mess with the overall turning radius, like I did a little bit with the DOA and the Super DOA. And other boards from other lines like the Nidecker Ultralight. Sometimes I feel that can affect the overall turning experience. And this, I felt it a touch, but not enough to be a deal breaker at all. It has good spring out of the turn. You can weight these turns any way you want. You can front foot drive, you can center drive, or you can lean into the back foot out of the carve. You can do it any way you want. Now, when it comes to powder, the Megadeth is negative 2.375 inches back from center of board at a 22-inch stance width. That's pretty good and more than the Black Snowboarder Death I rode the year before. That has 1.875 at a 22.75 inch stance width. Maybe the 2024 is a little more set back too. And I noticed that there has been a little bit of a stance location shift with the 2024 models. But this did pretty good in the powder I got it in, but I definitely felt like I had to put a lot more back foot weight on to keep the nose up with this guy. When it comes to switch riding, this handles switch riding well. It's a fine board in the park if you want to hit some big kickers. This has lots of load, so it'll really spring off a kicker if you're in the park, which I'm not. But Capita always make sure you're going to be okay in the park. So overall, I'm more into the regular black Snowboard to Death just because it's a better all conditions ride. But I sure will miss this dynamic flex personality and this incredibly fast bass. If you've always liked the black Snowboard to Death, but just want it to be a little more poppy, a little more light, a little more dynamic, you want a faster bass at the expense of some dampness, this could work for you.